foreignisms. There is a view that the linguistic hygiene, sort of the attitude, the meta-discursive reflection, is part of our life. It is just it's inevitable. This is what the attitudes to language just are about. However, in different periods of time, I suppose there are different sort of metaphors associated with this moaning. Mm-hmm. And in particular, I think in the post-Soviet period, there is a lot of insecurity about the foreignisms in particular. There is a lot of insecurity about other things, but this foreignisms, and I've looked at, and actually we have a PhD student who unfortunately is not here, who is writing a PhD on their attitudes towards foreignisms, only Anglicism in fact. Mm-hmm. And there are many metaphors of aggression and invasion and armies of foreignism invading there. And I just wonder whether this is typical or it's specific for the post-Soviet period.
Well, first of all, I think that this huge wave of, first of all, English words that is coming into Russian right now is nothing new, again. Because if you take the time of, let's say, Peter the Great, there were lots and lots of French and Dutch words coming. And if you take Russian engineering technology, every other word is German.
And in Pushkin's time, obviously, there were a lot of French borrowings, and Pushkin joked about it in Евгений Онегин. Шишков, прости, не знаю, как перевести.
But as for these attitudes, I think that there is a kind of if there is a dynamic, it's probably, a sinusoid. There is an ebb and flow. Because there are times when culture in general, and education in particular, becomes concentrated in rather narrow circles. And there are times when it's expanding. So, for example, the Soviet times were the times of rapid expansion of culture, as many people as possible had to be covered. And today, we witness a shrinking of that circle of people who carry this culture on.
But then they can go deeper.
Yeah. And that's been happening for at least several hundred years. And I think that the present day moans about the decline of the Russian language, if they are linked with the feeling of insecurity, it's indeed because there are other things that people feel insecure about. So it's not just the language, it's everything else, and sometimes it is hard not to sympathize with these feelings. I was recently interpreting it at an event where I had a lot of new Russian words like stream, topic, venue, and something that was especially strange to me. It was about the Olympics Committee of Sochi 2015, and I expected that it would be игры 2014 года. But what they actually say is Sochi 2014. So on the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, we always feel very acutely about things that are happening right here and now. And it's very hard to put that in historical perspective, because if we could be transported 100 years before that or 100 years before that, we would probably be just as emotional about things happening at that time.
Well, speaking about transformation time, if you are familiar with Gennady Baraktar's notation of Elora, how would you define him? As a bukvalist or as a...
I haven't compared the text, so I can't say, but I'm going to, because...
You've read his Russian?
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, it's not a very good classification, this bukvalist thing, because mostly what we know about bukvalists, literalists, we know from their enemies. Because the works of the enemies, winning enemies, were again and again published again, quoted. And And I had very interesting correspondence with the son of Kashkin, who was the main enemy of Bukvalists.
And he was a famous
He was famous translator in his own right, and he actually hated Bukvalists so much that he devoted a big period of his life to destroy them. And his son told me in a letter that he thinks that literalists had nothing to say in their defense because he had never seen any text by literalists defending their position, so probably they didn't have any position at all. But of course, probably it's easy to guess it's not the case. It's just that their works are in some archives, and recently one of my diploma students brought them from the archives, and I had an opportunity to read some of their reasoning. And actually, what Kashkin, for example, says that's the position of literalists is not at all what they say themselves. So when we speak about this method, we have two things. One is some kind of prejudice, some kind of description that was given to this method by others. And the other, the description of the method by the people who actually represented it. And it's two completely different things, actually.
There is actually, translation is a craft, an art, and most people don't think that I'm going to stick to literalist strategy here or to a very...
Oh, they did. They called it formal method.
Yeah, but usually people just, follow their gut feeling on that. And there are a few examples when translator actually thinks before translating how to tackle this. There is a wonderful example from the practice of Mikhail Gasparov when he wrote about how he was translating Aesop's fables, which are very simple, but so simple that you, without first-hand knowledge of ancient Greek, which nobody has, you can't actually feel whether they are written in some very normal language or whether they're somehow non-standard. So what he did was he took a huge monography discussing the dialect of Aesop's fables, and he underlined all epicism in blue and all dialect words in red. And so the fables where there were more blue words, there he translated Pastuch Pashol, a more normal Russian word order. And where there were more red markings, Pashol Pastuch. But this is the kind of discipline which you don't find very often.
Okay, we have to thank our speakers for a wonderful talk.
Thank you very much for inviting us. Yeah, and we want to give you our to your center.
Thank you very much.